Good morning, everyone. We are in MENACHOS, Vav Amud Aleph, on the top line. The Gemara was discussing the Kal V'chomer. The Kal V'chomer is that a Baal Mum is mutter lahediot, but asur legavoa. A person can eat a Baal Mum, but it's asur legavoa. And yet, a treifa, it can be brought on the Mizbeach. A treifa, which is asur lahediot, treifa can't be eaten by a hediot, it's definitely asur legavoa. That was a Kal V'chomer. A Baal Mum, which is mutter lahediot, is asur legavoa, still can't be brought on the Mizbeach. So then for sure, a treifa, which is asur lahediot, is going to be asur legavoa. So we use the Kal V'chomer to tell me that a treifa cannot be brought on the Mizbeach. The Gemara is trying to figure out what's flawed with this Kal V'chomer, that we needed a pasuk to tell us that a treifa is asur legavoa. That's where we're holding now. We're trying to figure out what's flawed with the Kal V'chomer from Baal Mum, which requires us to have a pasuk to tell us that a treifa is asur legavoa. So again, the given is that a treifa is asur legavoa. The question is, how do we get there? We either get there from a Kal V'chomer, or we get there from a pasuk. The fact that you brought a pasuk seems to imply that the Kal V'chomer is flawed. What's the flaw in the Kal V'chomer? So we're going to use a couple of Tzad HaShaveh Shebehens and then see how we reject them. Rav Shisha Breder Rav Idi Amar Mishum de'ikol lemeimar lehadar dina v'tisi b'ma'atzad. What's a ma'atzad? The common denominator. Ma lemelika shekain kiddushasa osrasa chayla v'dam yochichu. So I'm going to present you all of the different scenarios, and then we're going to get the Tzad HaShaveh. So the first case that we're going to have is malika. Now in malika, there's an interesting halacha that the kiddushasa is osrasa. What does that mean? That at the time that it becomes kadosh, it only becomes kadosh when you do the malika. Now at that time, we know that as opposed to shchita, which you can then eat the animal, by malika, when you do the malika, so now it becomes forbidden. So at the time that you do the malika, it becomes forbidden. Chayla v'dam yochichu, but chayla v'dam are different in the sense that they're forbidden even without the act that makes them kadosh. Right? The chayla v'dam are asur right away. And nevertheless, what do you see? Nevertheless, chayla v'dam are offered where? Are offered legavoa. Maybe chaylev and dam are different because they come from a mutter animal. Malika tochiach. Malika will disprove this because what? The bird becomes asur to eat once the malika is done. So what's the common denominator between malika, chaylev, and dam? The common denominator is sha'asur and lahediot mutar legavoa. A person can't eat the bird after malika, they can't eat the chaylev, they can't eat the dam, and nevertheless, what do we see? They're mutter legavoa. They get burnt on the mizbeach. Af ani avi treifa, so perfect, then I'll tell you treifa as well. Ava pisha asura lahediot, even though it's asur lahediot, tehei mutaris legavoa. So you see, just like chaylev, dam, and malika, which are asur to eat, are mutter legavoa, so we should say, so too, the treifa, which is asur to eat, should be mutter legavoa. Therefore, we need the pasuk to come along and say, no, a treifa is asur legavoa. Says the Gemara, no, that's a nice idea, but malat tzad hashaveh sheben shekein mitzvasa bekach. You can't make any comparisons between malika, chaylev, and dam, and the case of treifa. Why? Because over there, there's no way to offer the bird without malika. There's nothing to replace the chaylev and the dam. You have no choice. By the malika, you need to do malika, because you need to do malika, and you have no choice but to do malika. You can't say, okay, we're going to take out chaylev and dam. The chaylev and dam is there. But by a treifa, you don't have to offer it. The animal's a treifa, and you can just sort of put it on the side, and you can't say, I'm not going to offer any chaylev and dam. I'm not going to offer any animals with chaylev and dam. They have nothing left. I'm not going to offer any birds that I do malika to. Well, then you have no birds to offer, because you do malika to all the birds. The end of the day, you could say, well, I'm not going to offer a treifa. Therefore, once you get rid of the tzad hashaveh and you say you can't compare it to treifas, you can't compare treifas to chaylev, dam, and malika, now you're stuck. If you're not going to make any comparisons to them, now you're back to the original what? You're back to the original Kal V'chomer, and now at the end of the day, you have no reason for the pasuk. That's how the Gemara comes. El Amar Rav Ashi. So now Rav Ashi again, trying to figure out what do we need a pasuk for. Mishum de'ikol lemeimar meikara dedina pircha. You have a problem. What? Mehecha kamaisis la mi Baal Mum. What was your Kal V'chomer? Your whole Kal V'chomer again was the Baal Mum. A Baal Mum, which is mutter lahediot, is asur legavoha. Kal V'chomer, a treifa, which is asur lahediot, should be asur legavoha. That was your Kal V'chomer. And then you need a pasuk. So I need a pasuk because the whole Kal v'chomer is a problem. Why? Mi bal mum. Mima lebal mum shekain asabo makrivin kikravin. We're going to make another tzad hashava. But let's just get the facts. A bal mum is very interesting in the fact that the makriv is like the craven. What does that mean? The person offering it is like the thing being offered. In what sense? Just like a bal mum is a problem to offer a bal mum animal, so too, if the person offering it, i.e. the Kohen, is a bal mum, that's also a problem. So the Kohen can't be a bal mum, the person offering it can't be a bal mum, and the thing being offered, the animal, can't be a bal mum either. That's by a bal mum. Amar le Ravacha Sava le Ravashi. Yeah, but you have Yotzei Dofen Yochiach. You have Yotzei Dofen, a C-section, animal born with C-section, which can disprove this. Why? Shelo asabo makravin kikravin umutter lehadyo v'asu legavoa. Because again, you want to say, well, we can't compare anything to a bal mum. Maybe a bal mum is what? Maybe a bal mum is more machmir, because makrivin is like craven. But maybe a treifa, we're not going to be so machmir. Maybe that'll be mutter legavoa. Yeah, but you see over here that you have a yotzei dofen, where an animal born with C-section is asur legavoa, and a kohen who's born by a C-section is what? Is kasher lavoda. So you see that over here, just because something is makrivin kikravin, or it's not makrivin kikravin, doesn't mean anything. But now you have a problem, because again, the key here is to get the concepts. Yotzei dofen, a C-section, is not kadosh b'bechora. What does that mean? A treifa, if it comes out as a treifa, it's still kadosh as a bechor. If it comes out as a C-section, there's no kedusha bechor. That's why we have different halachas with a C-section, and you don't do a pidyon haben, etc. Right? Because it's not the same kedusha. Baal mum yochiach. Then you have a baal mum, because a baal mum is what? A baal mum is not kadosh as a bechor either. A baal mum is not kadosh as a bechor, and it's not from a C-section. Baal mum shkein atzbo craven makriven craven yotzei dofen yochiach. So again, you have all these things now, throwing a lot together. You have a baal mum, you have a yotzei dofen, you have a treifa. What's the tzad hashava between a yotzei dofen, a C-section, and a bal mum? Shemutarin lehadyot. A C-section, it can still be eaten. A bal mum still can be eaten. V'asurim legavoha, and yet they're asur to gavoha. Then kal v'chomer kol shekain, a treifa, which is asur to hadyot, which can't be eaten, to asur legavoha. For sure should be asur legavoha. Says the Gemara, and you can't make any comparison between a yotzei dofen, a bal mum, and a treifa. Why? Because they have no exceptions. A yotzei dofen is a yotzei dofen, and there's no exceptions. It has a C-section, has all the rules of a C-section. No exceptions.
It's a pun. Yotzei dofen means exception.
I know. I just, okay. I don't know if everybody's, okay. And a bal mum has no exceptions. A treifa has exceptions. What does that mean? A treifa has exceptions. Amar le Ravacha Breda Ravel Ravashi treifa shoder miklala ma'i. What does that mean? A treifa has exceptions. A lima melika to olas ha'of legavoa. Bal mum nami ba'ofor sishtiruye ishtare. So Gemara wants to suggest that when you do malika, interestingly, it becomes a treifa in the process. So when you do malika on an olas ha'of, it becomes a treifa in the process, and nevertheless, what? It could be offered. Right, you can offer it after the malika. If you couldn't offer it after the malika, then you wouldn't do any malika. So you do the malika, it becomes a treifa in the process, and nevertheless it could be offered. Bal mum nami ba'ofas ishturei, but you can't bring any proofs in there, because a bal mum can't be offered, but actually a bal mum, which is an oaf, which is a bird, can be offered. So just like a treifa bird can be offered, a bal mum bird can be offered. So you can't bring anything from birds, because birds are a different species. Where do you see that? Tamos, like tam, it has to be full. V'zichrus b'behema, it needs to be full. It needs to be a zachar b'behema. V'ein tamas v'zichrus ba'ofos. By an oaf, it doesn't have to be tam. It doesn't have to be full. It could be a bal mum. It could be a treifa. Ella what? Melika dechatas ha'of l'kohanim. Again, just get the concepts. When you do melika of an oaf that's a chatas, it gets to be eaten by the kohanim. Even though usually it's usher to eat a bird, that malika, we said malika can't eat a bird, there's an exception that by a chatas oaf, it could be eaten by the kohanim. Kohanim is shochan gavoa kazachim, but there's no proof from there either, because the fact that kohanim can eat it, that's a special gzeira shochan gavoa. Ve'ela parachachi, so what are we asking? Malat tzala shava shebehen shekain muma nikar. So what's the shada shava? Again, you can't make a tzala shava between yotzei dofen and bal mum to treifa. Why? Because by yotzei dofen and bal mum, or at least by bal mum, you can see the mum. you can actually see the defect. Tomar betreifa shekain ein mu manikar. By a treifa, maybe you're going to be more makil. It comes down over here that maybe you're going to be more makil by a treifa. Mishumachi itzrei kra. What's the Gemara saying? What was the flaw, or what do you need the pasuk for? Again, we said you have a kavachomer from Baal Mum. A Baal Mum is mutter lehedyot, and yet it's asur to be brought as a korban. Kavachomer, a treifa, which is asur lehedyot, should be asur legavoa. Says the Gemara, what do I need a pasuk for? We have a kal vachomer. Says the Gemara here, because that kal vachomer is not 100% perfect. Because a treifa has a kula, right? Anytime you have a kal vachomer, and the chamor thing has a kula, it's no longer kal vachomer. So what's the flaw in the kal vachomer? Why is there a kula by a treifa? Because a treifa, you can't see the issue. If a treifa if it has inner organ failure, and you know that it's going to die in the next 3 months, you don't see that mum. A Baal Mum is only a Baal Mum when you see the mum. So maybe we're more machmir by a Baal Mum. Maybe a Baal Mum, even though it's mutter lehedyot, it's going to be asur legavoa because you actually see the mum. Therefore, it's not going to be proper to bring it on the mizbeach. By a treifa, which you might know is a treifa, but at the end of the day, you don't see the mum. Maybe we're going to be makil. Says the Gemara, it's the kra. Therefore, the pasuk says no, that by a treifa, it's asur legavoa as well. That's what the Gemara says. Zok the Gemara. Utreifa mehacha nafka. Is it true that we learn a treifa being asur to be brought legavoa as a korban from that pasuk? Mehasam nafka. But we have another pasuk. Mimashke Yisrael min hamutter li Yisrael. You can only bring as a korban that which is mutter to Yisrael. Mikol asher yavor tachat hashevet. Anything that goes under the shavet. Nafka, you learn it. Prat letreifa she'ein overet, as opposed to a treifa which doesn't go under. So tzriche. Why do you need both psukim? Each pasuk is going to teach me one different thing about a treifa. Dimi mashki Yisrael hava mina lema'ute hecha delo haisela shasa kosher dumya de orlo kolei akerem aval haisela shasa kosher ema tiskasher kasarachmana kol asher yavor. Why do you need 2 psukim to tell me that a treifa can't be brought as a korban? The first pasuk, or you need 2 psukim because if we only had 1 pasuk, you would think that a treifa cannot be brought as a korban only when it's born as a treifa. If it's born disformed, it's born that it's going to die, then you can't bring it. It never had a shas kosher. It was never kosher. It was never a kosher animal, quote unquote. But if it had a shas kosher, if it was a good animal and then it just became a treifa, maybe that can be brought as a korban. Says the Gemara, we need the other pasuk to teach me, no, even if it had a shas kosher, even if it was good at some point, it still cannot be brought as a korban. Because of Rachmana kol asher yavor hava mina lema'ute hecha de nitrafo levasof ekdisha dumya de meiser aval ekdisha levasof nitrafa de bina da'at shavachazia ema tiskash because Rachmana mina bakar tzrichi. What do you need the second pasuk for? What's the other limud? The other limud is you might think that if I'm makdish an animal and then it becomes a treifa, I could still bring it. Says the Gemara, I need a pasuk to specifically tell me that even though you were makdish it before it became a treifa, once it becomes a treifa, it can no longer be brought. So you have those 2 things that you need the 2 psukim to teach me. First of all, again, even if it has a shas kosher, it was kosher at some point and then it became a treifa, you still can't bring it on the mizbeach. And even if you were makdish it before you brought it on the mizbeach, even if you were makdish it before it became a treifa, you can't bring that on a mizbeach as well. That's you need the 2 psukim. And again, across the board, a treifa is not brought legava. Zak the Mishnah. Echad minchas chote ve'echad kol hamenachos shekamsan zar onein tfuyom mechusar begadim mechusar kippurim shlorachat yadav v'raglav arel tameh yoshev omeid agabe kelam agabe em agabe raglei chavero pasol kamatz b'smol pasol. Okay, let's say that again. A minchas chote, the mincha of a person who sinned. Ve'echad kol hamenachos, or all korban minchas. If the kamitza, again, what's a kamitza? When the kohen takes the 3 fingers worth of the flour. So if it's done by a zar, by a non-kohen, by an onain, who lost a relative, by a tful yom, who went to the mikvah but needs to wait for shkia, by a mechusar begadim, not wearing all of the begadim of the kohen, mechusar kippurim, still missing some of the kaparas, some of the korbanos, shelo rachat yadav v'raglav, the kohen didn't wash his hands and feet first, arel, he wasn't circumcised. Why would he not be circumcised? Rashi pointed out because his brothers died, even though he has a valid reason halachically to not get a circumcision. Tameh, the kohen's tameh, he's sitting down, he's standing on kelim, on a behema, or on his friend's feet, which is a chatzitza between him and the floor of the temple. All of these cases, if he does a kamitza, it's an illegal kamitza, and it's pasol. If he does it with his left hand, it's pasol. Ben Beseira mer yachsir v'yachzor v'yikmotz biyamin. Ben Beseira says he goes ahead and he puts it back, and he redoes it with his right hand. Now, if I asked you at this point, freeze, what's Ben Beseira arguing on? Is Ben Beseira saying that if you do, Ben Beseira comes along and says, you put it back. Again, you took out the kamitza illegally, you put it over here. Ben Beseira says, put it back, and now redo it legally. Is Ben Beseira only talking about the last case, which it sounds like, where if you did it with your left hand illegally, now Ben Beseira says you can put it back and do it with your right hand? Or what we're going to explore is, does Ben Beseira just use that as an example, but he's really talking about all the cases? That if a Zar does it, if an One does it, if anybody does it, you can redo it. That's really the question that we're going to deal with now for the rest of the day. Does Ben Beseira mean that it's always going to be fixable, or it's dafka in the case of small? And if it's dafka in the case of small, what's special about the case of small, i.e. why is small more makil, that we're going to say it can be fixed? Says the Gemara, Chamatz va'ala biyado tzror, or gargar melach, o koret shel levona pasul. Another thing, besides for how it's done, let's say you don't have a full amount. That means you do the kamitza, and as part of the flour, for whatever reason, there was a pebble inside. There was a grain of salt. There was a little particle of incense. Pasul, why? Because what happens if you do the kamitza and there's a pebble in there? So what do you have in your hand? You have a kamitza of flour minus a pebble. You don't have the full shear. You're missing even a small particle worth of flour. So what's too much? If you take the heap, what does that mean? If you look at your hand and you take too much and you start seeing flour come out on this side, or on this side, or as Rashi said, you start seeing flour coming between the fingers, then you took too much. Again, it's fascinating for us to think, like, you go like this, like, what's the big deal? But clearly the Kohen had to know exactly how to take the right amount. Now the Mishnah over here is interesting because the Gemara, it already gave an example of taking too little, if there's a pebble, and taking too much. Now it's going to give another example, for some reason, of the chaser, of taking too little. Shekamso b'rashay etzbos. Another example of it took too little is not if you have a pebble, but let's say he takes it like this. So there's two ways to take it like this. He goes in, and he takes it like this. Now the right way to do it is to basically curl your fingers the entire way, and now it's covered by your fingers. But let's say he just takes it in the front, right? When you bend your fingers, you have two places to bend it, really, besides for the knuckles. You can either bend it right here, on this part. These are the knuckles. What's this called? Also knuckles? There is no name for this? There's two knuckles? What? Nickels. So either you could take it by the second joint, like that, or you could take it just from the fingertips. So if the guy took it just with the fingertips and basically curled it up into his finger, that's not the right way to do it. That's chaser. If he takes it with if he takes it with that and he goes like that, then he did it the right way. So the second case of chaser, so either chaser, he did it the right way, but he had a pebble inside, or he went ahead and he did it just with the fingertips. That's not enough. So that's chaser.
He does that. That's why he has the thumb, the thing, just to smear off the top. So how can he take too much?
No. You got the difference.
It sounds like he has some coming out over here and over here.
I thought that's why you have this.
No, he's talking about too much also. Hayaser, Yaser shekamso miroratz. Right, if he doesn't do it, and he doesn't clear it off, and he has some coming out here or here, or he has some coming out in between the fingers, that's going to be too much. Says a Gemara.
That only happens if you have your fingers open. So the idea would be to keep your fingers.
Right, but even if the fingers are closed, it could still come out on the right and the left.
Yeah, so that you should fix.
Right. So the Gemara, Lama li lamisna echad minchas chote ve'echad kol hamenachos, lisnei kol hamenachos shekamsan zar ve'onein. Gemara asks a very interesting question. Gemara says, it's saying all menachos that are done illegally are going to be a problem. Maybe Ben Beseira comes along and says that they're okay. But why are you singling out, right? The Mishnah is singling out all menachos and the mincha of a chote. What's special about the minchas of a chote that the Mishnah needs to single out, that case also, if it's done by a zar or it's done illegally, it's still not going to work? Why would you think that a minchas chote should be different? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon itzrech, and it for Rabbi Shimon. Why? D'Tanya, Amar Rabbi Shimon, bedinu shetei minchas chote tuna shemen ulevona shlo yehei chote niskar, v'neima eina tuna shlo yehei korban huda. Very interesting. We know that in general, when you bring a korban mincha, you bring shemen, you bring oil, you bring levona, it looks all pretty. You might think that even though we don't want the minchas chote to look pretty because he's a sinner, but what happens if we tell him he doesn't have to bring the shemen and the levona? He's like, great, I got a good deal. If I don't sin, then I got to bring a regular mincha. It's going to cost me more money. It's going to cost me $100. That shemen's expensive. The incense is expensive. If I sin, I'll bring a mincha. I'll save a few bucks because this way I won't have to bring the shemen and mincha. So really, we said that we want him to have to bring a regular korban. Umimnei ma'ina tuna. So why is the halacha that the mincha doesn't need shemen ulevona? Shloyei karbanim mehuda. We have two conflicting problems. On one hand, we don't want him to be able to save money. On the other hand, we don't want it to be beautiful. So which one wins? Says Rabbi Shimon, we don't want it to be beautiful. And even though he's going to save some money, we don't want it to be beautiful.
It's not really saving money.
He's saving a little bit of money on the
Charging
shem.
him a mincha.
Yeah, but still, okay. So let's assume maybe he's taking it instead of another mincha. Okay, but we're still...
Same thing as bringing barley with the sota.
Right, so we're still letting him save a little bit of money because we don't want it to be nice. Rashi points out a regular chata should need nesachim to come with it, should need a libation, a mincha, and it should need a libation. You would think that you make him bring the regular libations because you don't want him to gain. Says because we don't want it to be beautiful. So what do you see from Rabbi Shimon? What's the most important thing by a mincha of a chote or by a chatas of a chote? What's the most important thing? That we don't want him to have a beautiful korban. Therefore, what would you think according to Rabbi Shimon? What would you think? You would think that since we're not so concerned, we don't want it to be so beautiful, what would you think happens if a zar does the kamitza of a minchas chote?
It's coming to him. It's good.
It's fine. No. It's not the most important korban anyway. We don't care what it really looks like. If a zar does it, we'll say that it's fine. That's what Rabbi Shimon might say. Therefore, the Gemara, the Mishnah needs to specifically say minchas chote, not only kol menachos, but a minchas chote. Even Rabbi Shimon agrees that if a zar or somebody else or the small, or if it's done illegally, even though we don't care about that korban so much, quote unquote, we're still going to say it's aser if it's done illegally, the kamitza. That's what the Gemara says. Salka daita chamina hoel v'amar b'shimon shlei korban mehudar ki kamsel psulinami tiskasher kamash malan, that it's still going to be paso. Says the Gemara, there's only one problem. Ihachi, we have a Mishnah in Zvachim which says kol hazvachim shekibel daman zar ve'onein etc. is going to be aser. So why didn't the Mishnah in Zvachim say any korban where the Kabbalah was done illegally, it's going to be a problem? And what should it have said? Any korban, and also a chatas, which was done illegally, because you should have said the same thing there. You should have been consistent. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, what would you think there? Rabbi Shimon, you would think, well, by chatas, we don't care so much. So if the Kabbalah is done by a zar, it'll be okay. So why didn't you specify it over there as well? Alma, what do you clearly see over there? The one that says kol azvachim, what does that include? All zvachim and all opinions. That includes Rabbi Shimon. So over here, kol menachos would have included Rabbi Shimon as well. Now you would have known that Rabbi Shimon agrees to that halacha. Alma kevin netana kol v'loktani chutz kulu mashma. Chanami kevin netana kol v'loktani chutz kulu mashma. Says Gemara, no, itzrich. No, you're right. Kol in general, we would know that Rabbi Shimon agrees as well. But why do you need to specifically include Rabbi Shimon over here for another reason? Because for those who learned the beginning of Menachos, so what did you know in the beginning of Menachos, not so long ago? It says that Beis Amad Beis, we don't paskin like Rabbi Shimon. There was a whole discussion over there, and we said that we don't paskin like Rabbi Shimon. Right? They said, Lo Rabbi Shimon, in the whole discussion of Shelo Lishma, Lo Alu L'Shem Chova, etc. We said we don't paskin like Rabbi Shimon. So what would you think now that you have the second Mishnah? If you just said Kol HaMenachos, what would we think? We think Kol HaMenachos, but that's not Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon would disagree, and Rabbi Shimon, who's not part of the mainstream opinions in Menachos so far, he would disagree and say, Kol HaMenachos, but not a Minchas Chote. Therefore, since we dafka paskind against Rabbi Shimon in the last Mishnah, we need to go out of our way here. In general, Kol HaZvachim, in Zvachim, where there was nothing, we weren't paskind against Rabbi Shimon. Kol HaZvachim, we understand, includes Rabbi Shimon. Everybody agrees that that's the halacha. But over here, since we just went against Rabbi Shimon, there's reason or more reason to assume that if we said Kol HaMenachos, Rabbi Shimon would argue. Therefore, the Mishnah goes out of its way to say, even that opinion that you just rejected, L'maise, Kol HaMenachos, everyone agrees, even Minchas Chote, even Rabbi Shimon, who in the last Mishnah we rejected, even Rabbi Shimon goes ahead and argues, he's going to agree over here that even by a Korban Mincha, if you go, even by a Korban Chatas, or a Minchas Chatas, if you go ahead and you do it illegally, it's not going to count. Just an interesting svar if you think about it, because the Mishnah came before the Gemara, but clearly that was, the Gemara says, that what the Mishnah had in mind. Therefore, I need to go out of my way to tell me that even Rabbi Shimon, who we didn't pass like before, even he agrees that even though we don't care about what a Minchas Chote looks like, we don't care that it's beautiful, at the end of the day, we are still going to be machmir if it's done illegally. Says the Gemara, Amarav, Zar shekamatz yachzir. Rav says that a zar who does the kamitza, you put it back. Who is that? Who is that? Ben Beseira. It's interesting. The Gemara is going to reject this in just a second, but the Gemara originally wants to assume, because we always like to go like the majority, the Gemara wants to assume that Rav is going within the Tanna Kama. The Gemara is going to have to say, like, what are you talking about? How's that possible? The Gemara is going to set up and then reject. So don't get too invested, but the Gemara is going to set up and then reject the possibility that even the Rabbanan hold in certain cases you can redo it. What does that mean? Amar Rav Zar shekametz yachsev ra'anan pasal t'nan. Again, the basis of this question, it says pasal, yeah, but the easy answer would be what? This is Ben Beseira. The Gemara doesn't want to say that Rav is Ben Beseira. The Gemara is trying to hold on to the fact that Rav could be the Rabbanan, the Tanna Kama. It says pasal, so how could you say, sounds like the Rabbanan and Tanna Kama clearly say you cannot fix it. My pasal, what do they mean when they say pasal the Tanna Kama? Pasal ashi yachzir. You can fix it, but you have to fix it. It's pasal till you fix it. Ihachu hainu Ben Beseira. That's Ben Beseira. No, there's a difference between Ben Beseira and the Tanna Kama according to this suggestion, which we're going to reject. So the Gemara suggests at this point that really the Rabbanan agree that if I go ahead and I do a kamitza illegally with the wrong hand, as a zar, as an onain, and I put it over here on the table, I put it into klishars, as we'll see, I can go ahead and Rabbanan say I can fix it. I can put it back and then do it again. So where do the Rabbanan argue? What's Ben Beseira's chiddush? That you can go ahead and you can fix it. Everybody says that. Ki pligi de chaser chometz. Chometz. What happens? You take out the chometz, you put it down, you go outside, and when you come back, it's gone. The chometz disappears. Now the question is, Rabbanan savre lo yavi mitoch beiso v'yimalenu. Ben Beseira savre yavi mitoch beiso v'yimalenu. So what's the suggestion now in the Gemara? That the machlokas is if you took out the kamitza and you put it down, you can put it back and do it again. If you take out the kamitza and you lose it, Ben Beseira goes so far as to say that you can go to your house or go to Sobeys and buy new flour and pour that flour in to replace the kamitza that you lost and then start all over again. Rabbanan say, no, that's too much. Why? So Rashi explains that according to the Rabbanan, lo yavi misoch beitzo v'yimalenu, a little up on the left, solas isaron, de kesare kedushas kli kava l'shem mincha. When you put that flour into the first klishares, it becomes holy. And now when you take out that holy flour and lose it, you can't just put stam flour in there. Now you have all this holy flour. And if you go to Sobeys and buy even the best flour they have, it's not holy flour and you can't replace it. What does Ben Beseira say, says Rashi? Yavi misoch beso, de kesaver kamitza kiva, v'halo kamatz beho. What does Ben Beseira say? That when you put it into that klisharis originally, that's not what makes it kadosh. What makes it kadosh? Once you do the kamitza. When you make the kamitza, the whole thing becomes kadosh. Well, what happens when you illegally did the kamitza? It's as if you didn't do anything. So you illegally did kamitza, a flour from a klishares. It wasn't kadosh yet till you did the kamitza, but when you did the illegal kamitza, you didn't do anything. Therefore, you took non-kadosh flour out. You happen to have lost it, no big deal. Go to Sobeys, buy more flour, put it in, and now do everything. When you do it the right way, everything becomes kadosh. That's the machlokas that the Gemara suggests. Unfortunately, it sounds nice. We're going to reject it. Why? Because the Gemara says, what should it have said in our Mishnah or in our Gemara? Or in our Mishnah, Ben Beseira mer yachzir v'yachzor v'yikmotz biyamin. That's what the Gemara says. That's what the Mishnah says. What should it have said? Ben Beseira mer yachzir v'yavi misoch beso. It should have mentioned going to Sobeys. That's the whole nakuda of the machlokas. Whether you can go to Sobeys or not. If you just put it down on the table, everybody agrees you could put it back according to this. It's just whether you lost it or not. Therefore, it can't be that Rav is within the Tanna Kama. What must it be? Like we thought, Rav is coming within Ben Beseira and saying that if a Zar does it, so you can fix it. Says the Gemara Pshita. I don't understand. If that's true, so then what's Rav's chiddush? We just said in the Mishnah that, if you go ahead and you do it, you can fix it. So obviously we're going to say what? Mao desema ad kan lo ka machsher ben beseira ela bismol. It's all glad now. It's all coming together. That we might have thought, like we originally suggested, that ben beseira is only makil where you do it with your left hand. Aval b'shar psulin lo kamash malan. So what is Rav's chiddush now? Rav's very necessary. The Mishnah says all of these cases. Ben Beseira says if you do it with your small, you could fix it. Again, we're rejecting the fact that you did it, you lost the flour, not lost the flour. We rejected that whole suggestion. You just did it with your small. Back to the simple case. You do it with your small, what happens? You ruin it. Says Ben Beseira, you do it with your small, you could fix it. What does that imply? All of the other cases, if you do them illegally, even Ben Beseira says you can't fix it. Comes along Rav and says, no, you're misunderstanding Ben Beseira. Ben Beseira gave an example of small, but he really meant all of the cases. Says the Gemara, Maishna smol. If that's true, that you need Rav to come along, so it must be that there was something about smol that if I didn't have Rav, I would think that Ben Beseir is dafka talking about smol. What's more makel about smol that I would think that Ben Beseir was dafka talking about smol, that Rav needs to come into the base medrash and knock on the beam and say, no, 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 you don't understand. Ben Beseir was talking about everything. What was more makel about smol? Says Gemara, because we know that the smol has a time when it could actually be used. Usually we never use smol. Well, we never do any of these things. Zar only none. They're never mutter. Smol has a certain case where it's more makel. We know that on Yom Kippur you take the pan of coals, the machta biyamino, and the kaf, you take the spoon of ketores in your left hand. So since there's one time a year where the left hand can be used, the left hand by definition is more makil. Therefore, we can be more makil if you do the kamitza with your left hand, and we can go ahead and we can fix it. But every other case where there's no other kulas by zar and by onein and by orel and all those other cases, we can't be makil if you do it with one of those illegally. Comes along Rav and says, no, Ben Beseira says you can be makil in those cases as well. But that's a chiddush of Rav. That's what the Gemara says. Zar nami ashkan lach shera b'shchita. Wait a second, but we also have a kula by zar. Rav came along and said zar. Ben Beseira includes a zar as well. He says a zar, if he goes out and he does it, you can fix it. What do I need that chiddush? I need that chiddush because smol was a certain chiddush. Well, zar also has a kula. What's the kula by zar? A zar can do shchita in general. By regular shchita, a zar does it, it's okay. So that has a kula too. If that has a kula, clearly if a zar does a kamitza, it would be okay as well. Says Gemara, no. Shchita lav avodahi. You can't prove anything from shchita because shchita is not an avoda. Shchita is not an avoda. V'lo v'hamar Rav Zeira amar Rav shchita is para bizar psula. If shchita is not an avoda, so why if a zar shechs the para aduma is it a problem? Says Gemara, v'hamar Rav Allah elazar v'chuka ksivba. As we're going to come to in the end, but we'll say it now. At the end of the day, no, it's exeris hakasov. It dafka says chok by the para aduma, zos chukas hatayra by the paraduma, and it says Elazar specifically. So it's exeris hakasov that a paraduma needs to be shachted with a kohen, even though regular animals can be shachted with a zar. Shani parad de kache bedek habayisi. We say that a paraduma is different because it's bedek habayis. It's not the highest level. Bedek habayis is one level. A higher level is kedushas hamizbeach. V'lav kol shekeinu. Do I not have a kava chomer? What's the kava chomer? Kache bedek habayis bao kahuna kache mizbeach labo kahuna. Amar of shisha brei de ravidi midid hava amaras negoim de lava vodininu by kahuna. I don't want to get too much into this, but what this is basically saying is that just because something is done by a kohen doesn't make it an avoda. You would think that if I say to you something needs to be done by a kohen, it's definitely an avoda. It's not true. What's an example of something that's done by a kohen that's not considered to be an avoda? Maras negoim. Looking at the nega needs to be done by a kohen, but it doesn't make it an avoda. So just because something is done by a kohen doesn't make it an avoda. So why by para aduma, if shchita is not an avoda, why by para aduma does it need to be done by a kohen? Says the Gemara, because it's exeris hakasov. Zos chukas hatorah elazar, it's exeris hakasov. But enachanami, shchita can be done by a zar. Shchita is not an avoda. If shchita is not an avoda, you can't bring me any proofs that a zar could do a shchita. It's not an avoda. Over here, therefore what? Therefore again, smol is the only thing that has a kula, an avoda that can be done with a smol, i.e. carrying the Ketores on Yom Kippur. Therefore, if Ben Beseira said smol, I would think dafka by smol we could be makil to fix it. Comes along Rav and says no, even a zar who does the avoda, even a zar who does the kamitza can be fixed as well. Says the Gemara, finish up. Says the Gemara, v'neilaf mi bama. What does that mean? Again, what do I need Rav for? You needed Rav to tell me that it's not just small. So as I understand, what do I need that? I see that there's a kula by zar as well. Another attempt. What's the kula by zar? We know that a zar can go ahead and what? A zar can go ahead and bring a korban on a bama outside of the Beis HaMikdash. Look at Rashi. V'neilaf mi bama to the left, 2 lines down. Klomar. De Rav lamali. What do I need Rav? Ma'ishna smol de machsher ben beseira bechazar de islay hechsher b'yom kippurim. Zar nami. We also have a kula by zar. Ana yadana de machsher nami ben beseira. Why? Da islay hechsher b'bama kodem shnitzkadish Aaron shavoda bebechoros. Before Aaron became Kohen, before the Kohanim were separated as Kohanim, so a zar could bring a korban on a bama. What's the obvious rejection going to be? Yeah, but that was before the Kohanim. Once they're Kohanim, zar can no longer bring things on the bama. If you say we can't learn anything from bamas because the Kohanim were not yet separated, and therefore it was an exception to the rule, but we do learn things forever from the bama. What do we learn? What did we learn? We said before that if you do something illegally, if you take out the korban from the azara, if you take it outside, you can no longer put it onto the mizbeach. What did we say? We said certain times if you put it on, you don't have to take it off. Where do we learn that from? We learn that from Abama. Abama, the entire thing is done outside of the Beis HaMikdash, and yet you can put it on the Mizbeach. Therefore, you see that if you take it outside of the Azara and then you bring it back and you put it on, you can leave it. So you see, you do learn from Abama. It says, no, Tana Azos Torah Ola Samechle. No, we have a pasuk. The pasuk teaches me that if I take it out of the Azara, an animal, I could bring it back, and I bring it back, even though lechatchila I shouldn't put it on the Mizbeach. If I do, b'diavad, it's going to be okay. What's the comparison to Bama? Bama is just an asmachta b'alma. But again, the bottom line is we don't learn anything specifically from Bamas, because Bamas were done at a time where the Kohanim were not yet appointed. If we don't learn anything from Bamas, you can't tell me, well, I would have known Zar from Bama. And we're back to Rav now, who needs to come along and say that, again, smol is the only thing that has a kula. If smol is the only thing that has a kula, smol is the only one we would have known from Ben Beseira. Comes along Rav and says, you should realize that Ben Beseira is makil even by a Zar as well. Says the Gemara, Elataima dashmin and Rav, halava chiyava mina b'shar psulim pasal Ben Beseira. So now the Gemara is really going after him. The Gemara is saying, well, now it implies that the only reason that if the Gemara implies that if Rav didn't come along, we would have never known that Ben Beseira is makel across the board to be able to fix it if you do the kmitza illegally. Says the Gemara, how is that? V'hatanya, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Omrim, machshir haya Ben Beseira b'chol apsul and kulam. We have a mefurish brisa that says that he was machshir across the board. V'tanya, where do you see this? V'kamatz misham makom sharagle azar omdos. That's a separate thing that the Kohanim can go ahead and do the kmitza even in the azara of the Yisrael. Ben Beseira omer minayin sheim kamatz b'tzmol sheyachzer v'yachmitz biyamin tamulomar v'kamatz misham makom shekamatz kvar. V'kevan dekra stomach siva mali smolo mali sharp sulin. What's the source? According to Ben Beseira, you can go ahead and if you do it with your small, you don't have to fix it. L'chachili says to do it with your min. Where do you see that if you do it with your small, you can fix it? V'kamatz misham. He says from wherever you go ahead, v'kamatz misham means you do the kamitza from the place that you already did the kamitza, i.e. you're doing it again. Does that imply anything to do with small? No. It just implies that if you messed up, you can do it again. Stam across the board. Whether it was done bismo, whether it was done with a zar, whether it was done with an onain, it sounds like we already know this idea of Rav that Ben Beseira holds you can fix it across the board. Says the Gemara, Elahaka Mashmalan. So what is Rav teaching me? What is Rav adding? That's what we're struggling with. What is Rav adding? It's obvious either by Svara, or if you argue it's not obvious by Svara because smol is special because we see that smol can be used. Well, we clearly have another brisa that says that Ben Beseira is makel across the board to fix it. So what is Rav arguing, right? It's basically like you have the given. The given in the base medrash is that Ben Beseira holds you could always fix it. Not only by smol, you can fix it all the time. Comes along Rav's, I have a chiddush. And he makes an announcement in the base medrash, I have a chiddush, I want you to know that Ben Beseira says you could always fix it. Shkayach Rav, you're about 3 years too late. Everybody knows that. So what's the chiddush that Rav is adding to Ben Beseira to say that you could fix it when a zar does a kamitza? The chiddush is kamatz va'afilu kidesh. Yes, of course, we know that if it was done illegally, and just using his example of zar, if it was done by a zar, you do the kamitza, you put it here, you can go ahead and you can fix it. What's Rav's chiddush? That even if you take that kamitza which was done by a zar and you put it into another kli shares, and now you're mamish being mekadesh it again, you can still go ahead and return it and redo it the right way. That's the chiddush. Rav is teaching that Ben Beseira explains not only when it was done bipsul, but even if he then took it and put it into another kli shares, another vessel, and made it again super holy, you can still replace it. That's his chiddush. I didn't need him to tell me that if I take it out, I can replace it. I need him to tell me that even if I take it out and put it into another kli shares, I can still replace it. That's the chiddush of Ben Beseira, that I can replace it. That's the chiddush of Rav. Ulafuke mehani tanai. What do I need this for? Because it excludes the other tanaim. Titani, Rabbi Yossi ben Yossi ben Yasan, Rabbi Yehuda nachtam amru b'medvar mum shekamatz v'lo kidesh. Aval kidesh pasol. Because there's another opinion that holds that if I take out the kamitza illegally and I put it into another kli shares, i.e. and I mekadesh it again, then I ruin it forever. Comes along Ben Beseira through Rav and says, no, even if I put it into another kli shares, I can still go ahead and fix it. Vika de Amre, and others say, kamatz in, kidesh lo. And others say that no, that if you're kamatz, then it's fine, but if you're mekadesh it, then it will not work. Kiman, who's this like? Kihani Tanai ulafuke mitanakama. Like this Tanai, the Ikad Amri is like this opinion, who says that kamatz velo kidesh, aval kidesh is going to be a problem. Maskila Rav Nachman, we'll end with this. Rav Nachman asks on this opinion, The opinion who says, again, according to us, we're saying that Ben Beseira's Chiddush is that if you do the Kamitza illegally, even if you put it into another Kli Shares, you go ahead and you can redo the whole thing. But there's another opinion who says, no, if you take out the Kamitza and you just put it on the table, then you can replace it. Forget about losing it. We're not talking about losing it. But if you go ahead and you take out the Kamitza and you put it into a Kli Shares, then you ruin it and you can no longer fix it. Says the Gemara, I have a question on this opinion. Maskela Rav Nachman. My Kasavri Hani Tnai. What is this Tanai? What does this opinion hold? That it all matters whether you put in the Kli Shares or not. If the actual Kamitza is an avoda, so then what? If the kamitza is an avoda, and that's an actual part, or that's the actual avoda, so if I do it illegally, who cares if I put it into a Kli Shares? Even if I put it on the table, you should not be able to fix it, because I did the avoda illegally. Says the Gemara, and if it's done illegally, it's not an avoda. So who cares if I put it into a Kli Shares? It was illegally put into a Kli Shares by an illegal person. So, b'manav shach, either it's an avoda and it's ruined even if I don't put it into a Kli Shares, or it's not an avoda and it shouldn't be ruined even if I put it into the Kli Shares. You make no sense. Says the Gemara, Hadar Marav Nachman, no, le'olam avoda hi. I agree, kamitza is an avoda, but it's a long avoda. V'lo gamra avodasa ad avid la matan kli. And the avoda is not finished until I put it into the Kli. And therefore, again, what happens? According to this opinion, if you go ahead and you take it out and you start the avoda, if you put it on the table, you haven't yet finished the avoda, you can go ahead and you can return it if it was done illegally and then do the whole thing again. But if you go ahead and you take it and you put it into the Kli Shares and you finish the avoda, then you ruined it forever. That's what this opinion holds. Ben Beseira, through Rav, is coming and seemingly telling you that if you go ahead and you take out the kamitza illegally and you put it into, even if you put it into the Kli Shares, across the board it sounds like no matter what, you can still fix it. And that's where Rav's Chiddush is, that according to Ben Beseira, which we knew before Rav came along, we knew that Ben Beseira says you could always fix it. Rav's Chiddush is that Ben Beseira holds, even if you take out the kamitza illegally and you put it into another Kli Shares, you could still go ahead and you can still fix the entire process. Shkayach.